everyone, this is Show here. And whenever we last left off, Deku and May had successfully beaten All Might in the final exams. Now this is going to be the Black Forest training arc. Now Deku and May are on the bus, and most of their equipment has already been heading there, but May is actually tinkering with two lightweight prototype gauntlets that they've been trying to make in the last few days. Because she noticed that trying to actually pick up that piece All Might threw off, it weighed somewhere around 40 to 60 pounds, or somewhere more above 75 pounds alone. Now, taking this into account, she realized that if that were to ever happen again, that would be a problem, so they would need some light gear. So she's actually been making some, have you ever seen Black Widow, how she has those wrist guns that she can shoot lasers? She'd have, gauntlets of those, but they can also shoot fire. They can also work as a compact grenade launcher, and even have a laser in them. Now, the laser is actually on one of the other gauntlets, and it's actually harder to use. Deku has his own pair, but instead of having them be very overcomplicated, all he has to do is undo a strap, and a giant blade will come out of his wrist. Now, these blades are probably about the size of his arms. Now, people are asking Deku about him being the vigilante. Back in high school, or back before his career started at UA, Deku would start talking about it, and he would say about how this one scar in particular he got from some weird hero guy, or some cat guy. And Jesus Christ, that guy was so annoying. Honestly, I'm just gonna say it right now. If you guys ever see me meet that guy, just please grab the nearest blunt object and beat me to death with it. Because he gave me this scar, and he actually cracked one of my ribs. Though, I kinda did break his nose. Now, Aizawa, he would just tell them that it's time to get off the bus. And they are going to be meeting some pro heroes. Now, they would get off the bus, and this is whenever they would all be soaking up the sights. And Deku's essentially he's in his tank top, or he's in his school uniform, but they are just tinkering with the stuff. So they would have just had their sleeves rolled up and have these on their arms. I forgot they are not in their hero suits right now. Now then, after that, this is whenever the Pussycats would arrive, and then Tiger would get out of the car. And this is whenever Deku would say, "Oh God." Bakugo would ask him, Deku, what happened? He would just say, "Grab something blunt." This is whenever Bakugo would grab Kirishima and beat Deku to death with him. I'm just kidding. Kirishima would gladly do that on his own. Anyways, this is whenever Tiger would immediately run up to Midoriya, saying that he's finally going to bring this vigilante in once and for all. Deku would just immediately grab his hand and immediately bring him to his knees by just twisting his hand down. He's saying that there's no need for that because he's going to be a hero. Tiger's confused, saying that you can finally speak. Why didn't you ever speak before? Deku would just say that he couldn't before. But this is different. But then was different than now. This is whenever May would just tell Deku that he's going to damage the gear. He would pull away, or let Tiger go, and actually readjust the bands on his gauntlets. Tiger would say that clearly things are different. Not only can you speak, but you're using gear. Now, Tiger would reluctantly let them pass on a slide. And he's actually interested in a lot of the things that these two are doing. Now, this is whenever Deku would actually bring up the baby name that May said, which I'm pretty sure I googled it, and it was Ikari. Deku would, as soon as she said that, she would be like Ikari, and she would immediately just begin blushing, and that is whenever the landslide would happen, actually catching Deku off guard. Now then, as soon as that would happen, he would immediately power up One for All, catch May, and immediately land on his feet. And he's saying that he's guessing it was something not good, or or an invention or an idea. And she would then just say in a very squeakish voice that it was actually a baby dream she had. Deku would have actually been taken aback by this and almost drop her, as the monsters would immediately start coming towards them. This is whenever Deku would just say that, oh, don't worry, he's got this. He would immediately crack his knuckles, walk forward, and scream, stay. Some of them would stop, but they would all continue. They would immediately start walking back towards them. Deku would just say that, well, worth a shot, before throwing a 100% smash in that direction, obliterating everything in their way. Deku would then be able to command some of the monsters to actually follow his orders. Everyone would get on their own separate beast. Mineta would try and get on one of the ones the girls are on, but they would immediately... Well, May would have immediately tossed one of the girls the flamethrower gauntlet, which is whenever Mineta actually is... He's not in 1A, is he? Yeah, he's not. Neither is Ayama, and I'm pretty sure Invisible Girl's not in this What If. Speaking of that, I don't think anyone ever asked me to retcon that. They never voted for a Class 1B character, I don't think. Oh well. Anyways, after that, that is whenever training would commence, and the Pussycats were kind of confused because he's saying that she doesn't have control over the monsters anymore, and she thinks that she lost control of them, so the kids might be in danger. Aizawa would just say that he doesn't think that's true, and they would then get to the camp as they would see Deku is essentially hurting the monsters. Because they would have pulled up to camp probably in at least an hour. Deku and them would already be sitting there, and Deku is just scratching the chin of one of the monsters that tried to kill them. They're asking how, and Deku would just say his quirk is alpha. Well, his quirk allows him to basically be the alpha of any pack he comes across, be it animal or human. As long as he shows dominance and pack or alpha mentality, and people notice it and they are intimidated by him, he can basically become the leader of anything. Hell, he was raised by wolves. People, well, this is whenever Tiger would say that. That makes a lot more sense now. Because Deku acted like a wolf, he smelled like a wolf, and he behaved like one. Now then, everyone would get dinner, and they would begin training. Deku's training is literally taking on May's creations, as Denki is essentially charging himself up with 20,000 volts and immediately tasing himself in the neck. So he's creating his own constant flow of electricity and bringing it higher and higher. Instead of just having a generator clamped to his... I don't even know what the generator was clamped to. I want to say something, but it was probably just clamped to his nose. Okay. Yeah. May's whole thing would just be working on her creations and actually enhancing her zoom, which you cannot really enhance very well other than using hero gear. And that is whenever she would just create certain gear, and Tiger would try and get his rematch with Deku, but Deku would immediately tell Tiger to sit and play dead. Tiger would listen to this, and he's confused, And he's just saying that if you show any fear towards him, or if you don't think you can be the alpha, then that means he can take over at any time. And that means you have to listen to the alpha. Now then, after that, the pussycats would ask him to do ridiculous things to Tiger, like telling him to cluck like a chicken, and getting him to prance around like a pony. Deku would ask Koda if he wants to see Tiger do something stupid, and Koda would reluctantly say yes, and tell him to try and do a backflip. And this is whenever Koda would actually not be a little jerk, and try and punch Deku in the nuts. He was pretty intimidated by a guy literally rolling up on a pack of wolves, essentially. Or giant creatures. Now then, the attack on the Black Forest training camp would go similarly, but Deku would be able to find Koda due to his sense of smell. And he would have somewhat brought Koda back to everyone else before they were all attacked. Now then, after Deku brought everyone back to the area, this is whenever Muscular would have showed up and Deku would have saw him. Deku would have told Muscular not to try it, not to even try and take him on, and he would just tell Muscular to run away. Muscular, being a bit pissed off, would tell Deku that he doesn't command him, and Deku would just tell him that the last thing that didn't follow his orders, he ripped its skull out. So, he doesn't want to know it. I don't want to know what I'm even going to do to you. Actually, I might have an idea. But there's a kid here, and I don't want to traumatize him. Now, this is when Muskie would say that doesn't sound very heroic, and Deku would just tell him that you don't need to sound heroic to be heroic. It's your actions. Now, aside from that whole, tone shift to all seriousness, Deku would tell Koda and all the pussycats to stay behind him as he takes this guy on. They would actually listen to Deku, and he would then say that give everyone in Class 1A permission to use their quirks. But May is already flying around, actually already doing that, and she would take care of the poison guy and Dobby. Well, she wouldn't... actually. She would probably not have enough fusion cells for the entire weeks, or 2 weeks, so she would probably have to limit herself. She wouldn't be flying around, but her hero gear, like the standardized gauntlets I was talking about, she's creating improvements and adaptations to those. And she's even improving certain things for Deku's gear. Now, Deku would still have his gauntlets on for his blades, and his knives. Now, he doesn't really use his knives very much, but he's telling Muscular to back off. Muscular wouldn't respond, and he just keeps walking towards him, so Deku would just blow a Delaware smash in his face. That doesn't work, so Deku would just keep throwing these things at Muscular, and Muscular would get mad. So this is whenever Muscular would have that showdown with the fist, but Deku just charges up his concussive. What did I call it? I called it like an EMP, I think, or a concussive blast. Oh well, but he's charging that up, and he's telling everyone from behind him to actually start running. They would listen to this as Deku immediately explodes, and this would actually take out Muscular's arm. What I mean by this is, Muscular's arm was already enveloping Deku's. What happens whenever you put pressure inside a sealed container? It blows up. Now then, after that, Muscular Trying not to go into static shock, would still try getting up to attack Deku, but Deku would just broken his jaw and a couple ribs. In what is not even a fight. Now then, May would have actually taken out the. She would have taken out the guy who has the gas mask and Dobby by. With Dobby, she could probably get away with stunning him and punching him in the face really hard, or just launching a grenade at him. But, yeah, I don't care. Dobby isn't really a very big time villain yet in the anime, but yeah, she'd probably throw a taser at him or throw fire at him, but that might not even work. And for the mustard gas villain, she would just shoot him with a taser. Because let's say that she had that built into her other gauntlet that just has the fire flamethrower on it with the tank. Now then, after doing that, Deku would take care of the lizard guy, and Mr. Compress would still have Bakugo and, I think, Todoroki, if I'm not mistaken. Now then. Now then. Deku would hear that this guy has them. He would tell Mr. Compress to stop now and return them. Mr. Compress wouldn't listen and he would go to leave. He would say that they're going to regroup with Muscular. Turns to see Muscular basically almost completely eviscerated, along with a missing arm. Mr. Compress would then drop to his knees listening to Deku and hand them over. Deku would then rip Mr. Compress's face mask off, and then proceed to kick him in the chin, knocking him out, along with breaking part of his jaw. Now then, the heroes would arrive, and this is whenever they would tell them that they're good. It's a good thing that they had Midoriya here to actually help stop them, and all that's going on. Momo would inform All Might that she put a tracker. Well, she and a guy from 1B actually put a tracker on Anomu, so it's going to lead them back to the villain's hideout. Now then, after that, this is whenever Deku would. Well, no, that's stupid. I was gonna say Deku would have informed them that he also put a tracker on someone, but that would be a double trope. No. Well, anyways, Deku would then inform them that the tracker might be useful, but they might have more than one location. They would ask what Deku means, and Deku would say they would probably have a place in public and a place in the shadows. Right? Because they need a place to make these things, and they would need another place to actually, hide out at. So, All Might would bring this information to Nezu, along with the location of one headquarters. And this is whenever Principal Nezu would actually start thinking about things, and he would then come to the conclusion that, hey, one of those villains that attacked the USJ, he was wearing a certain bartender's outfit. We also found traces of this rare imported alcohol, and it is only at 5 or 6 bars in this town. So, deducing that those 6 bars are the only ones that still serve it, they would narrow it down, and eventually Nezu would walk into the bar with the proper villains, order a cup of tea, drink it, have a conversation, walk out, and yeah. He would then confirm with All Might that that was the guy that was there was a man with a purple face, and he had a portal quirk. And he was wearing exactly what Midoriya and May had described in the picture that she gave Principal Nezu. Now, yes, I just brought up an important plot point. I'm not sure if anyone was wondering why I added a camera to May's hero gear. But that was basically it. I don't script these at all. I ADHD is fun because you just randomly piece together stories and then spread them out so far that you think they're not scripted. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video and have an amazing night.